Hopefully, you've been enjoying this season by season OHL history series. We started in the 80-81 season when the OHL formed, and now we're up to 2019-2020. And this would actually be the 40th season in OHL history. And this was a historic one for all the wrong reasons. 20 teams supposed to play a 68 game schedule, but of course was cut short by the pandemic and on March 22nd, 2020, and the season would be canceled 6 days later. So yeah, this one stands out. There was a lot of emotions and a lot of unknowns when that season was canceled. Of course, no playoffs, so no OHL Champion, no 2020 Memorial Cup. It was supposed to be held in Kelowna, BC that season. But let's go over the summary of the season. Let's start off with the final standings. Not everyone played 68 games this year, so the standings a little different. Not no. It wasn't even whatsoever as it was mid-season. Now, the Saginaw Spirit would finish first in the West Division when it was canceled. 41-16-3-2 is their record for 87 points. The Flint Firebirds second with a record of 40-21-1-1, 82 points. While the Windsor Spitfires third with a record of 34-20-8 for 76 points. And if the playoffs started, the Sioux Greyhounds, they'd be on the outside looking in as they had a record of 29-31-3-1, 62 points. And also missing the playoffs that season would have been the Sarnia Sting with a record of 22-34-5-1 for 50 points. In the Central Division, the London Knights were sitting in the top spot. They had a record of 45-15-1-1, 92 points. Kitchener Rangers second with a record of 40-16-5-2, 87 points. The Guelph Storm third, 32-23-3-5 is a record for 72 points. While the Owen Sound Attack fourth with a record of 30-24-4-4, 68 points. And the Erie Otters fifth with a record of 26-26-4-7 for 63 points. In the Central Division, the Sudbury Wolves, they were sitting first with a record of 34-27-1-1, 70 points. And out of all of the teams this season, I felt awful for the Sudbury Wolves. Just the way this team was playing, the talent they had on that roster, and for the season to be canceled like that was so tough to see. The Barrie Colts, they finished second in the division, 29-28-4-2 for 64 points. And the Mississauga Steelheads, they were third with a record of 27-29-4-1, 59 points. The Niagara Ice Dogs would have missed the playoffs yet again with a record of 18-39-5-1, 42 points. And the North Bay Battalion, they also would have missed the playoffs this season with a record of 17-41-4 for 38 points. And in the East Division, the Ottawa 67s, they were in the top spot, 50-11-0-1, 101 points. It was another solid run by the Ottawa 67s, this time cut short. While the Peterborough Petes, second in the division, 37-21-2-2, 78 points. While the Oshawa Generals, 31-26-5 for 73 points. The Hamilton Bulldogs, they were sitting with a record of 24-37-1 for 56 points. And the Kingston Frontenacs at the bottom of the division, but they would have made the playoffs based on how things ended with a record of 19-39-2-2 for 42 points. Now, outside of the pandemic, there was also a very scary incident in a game between the Niagara Ice Dogs and the London Knights. So what happened was Tucker Tynan, the Ice Dogs goaltender, he made a save, but then suffered a serious cut to his leg after being sliced by a blade. The game was postponed along with the next two games for the Niagara Ice Dogs. It was just an ugly moment, and it was not intentional. It's when you've got sharp blades on the bottom of these boots, accidents are bound to happen. And I know there's been a lot of technology and a lot of steps coming forward to really try and protect players and athletes with the anti-cut material, but still, you never want to see this out on the ice. So Tucker Tynan missed a lot of time after this injury, and it was pretty traumatic for the players too. That's why they ended up postponing the two games after the fact for the Niagara Ice Dogs. It was also a tough season for the Barrie Colts as Dale Howardchuk, he was forced to step down after being diagnosed with stomach cancer. It was a tough stretch here going into the season as Dale Howardchuk, not seen at the Saddlein Arena often, but he did make an appearance late in the season. And that would be the last time we would actually see Dale Howardchuk at the Saddlein Arena before he passed away. It was a nice touch that the city of Barrie renaming the road that enters the parking lot for the Saddlein Arena as Dale Howardchuk Way, as he meant so much to this hockey team and this organization and the community, and just even the hockey community in general. Dale Howardchuk really leaving his mark at the National Hockey League level and in junior hockey. Now, Warren Reichel, he would actually take over as head coach going into this season, but that didn't last long. He was eventually relieved of his duties, and Miller ended up taking over on an interim basis before he was let go after the season because of all the uncertainty with COVID. Now in North Bay, Stan Butler, he was a mainstay behind the battalion bench. He was their first head coach when they were granted expansion as the Brampton Battalion back in 1998, and he was reassigned in December of 2019 as a special advisor during the regular season. So quite the shift for the battalion as an organization. Adam Dennis would take over as GM, while Ryan Houlihan named interim head coach at the time and then named full-time head coach once the season wrapped up. At the beginning of the season, also the Erie Otters, this was big news for them. They signed a new 10-year lease agreement, ending years of speculation that the Erie Otters were going to relocate out of the state of Pennsylvania. Even before Connor McDavid joined the Erie Otters, there was speculation that Erie could end up moving to Hamilton out of all places. And of course, we've been following along with this series that we've been doing, the Erie Otters, they used to be the Hamilton Steelhawks before they moved to Niagara Falls to be the Thunder, and then eventually the Erie Otters. So they were apparently very close to going full circle back to the city of Hamilton to play out of Cops Coliseum. I think it was Cops at the time, or First Ontario. Either way, that all those rumors were put to bed as they signed that agreement to stay at the Erie Insurance Arena, which is one of the top tier facilities in the Ontario Hockey League, and I think well deserving of hosting a Memorial Cup in the future. They have the loudest fans. If you ever get a chance to go to a game in Erie, Pennsylvania, you will not be disappointed, especially come playoff time. Now, of course, with this regular season being cut short, there were no playoffs, but let's take a look at who were the leading scorers at the time of the pause. Marco Rossi of the Ottawa 67s. He was leading the way, 39 goals, 81 assists, 120 points after 56 games. Marco Rossi, he was a man on a mission that season. Cole Perfetti would be second in scoring from the Saginaw Spirit, 37 goals, 74 assists, 111 points. Connor McMichael, the London Knights, 47 goals, 55 assists, 102 points. You have to figure McMichael would have hit the 50-goal mark that season if it wasn't cut short. Then you have Philip Tomasino, who spent time between Niagara and Oshawa, 40 goals, 60 assists, 100 points. And this one kind of hurts because Oshawa were going all in. They brought in Philip Tomasino at the trade deadline, and they gave up all those picks and whatnot. But then the season's cut short, and the following one canceled as well. So, it was a very fascinating time in general for the Ontario Hockey League. Next in scoring was Arthur Kaliev from the Hamilton Bulldogs, 44 goals, 54 assists, 98 points. Pavel Gogolev of the Guelph Storm, 45 goals, 51 assists, 96 points. Joseph Garefa of the Ottawa 67s, he was seventh in scoring, 36 goals, 54 assists, 90 points. Eighth in scoring, Jack Quinn of the Ottawa 67s, 52 goals, 37 assists, 89 points. Austin Keating of the Ottawa 67s, 32 goals, 57 assists, 89 points. And rounding out the top 10 was Nick Robertson of the Peterborough Petes, 55 goals, 31 assists, 86 points. So just an unreal run that season from some of the top talent in the Ontario Hockey League. And as I mentioned, no playoffs, which also meant no Memorial Cup. Kelowna, they were supposed to host the Memorial Cup in 2020, but that was canceled, although the Canadian Hockey League kind of making up for it as at the time of recording, we're going into the 25-26 season. The Kelowna Rockets set to be the upcoming Memorial Cup host. So they're getting it returned, but still at the time, so much uncertainty when it came to junior hockey. Now, awards were still handed out. We'll start off with the Matt Layden Trophy, the Coach of the Year. That ended up going to Andre Tourigny of the Ottawa 67s, while the Jim Gregory Award went to Jim Boyd of the Ottawa 67s. The Red Tilson for Most Outstanding Player, no surprise, Marco Rossi of the 67s, and the Eddie Powers also going to Marco Rossi. So Ottawa well represented in the awards for 2019-2020. The Dave Pinckney Trophy, that would go to Cedric Andre and Will Cranley of the Ottawa 67s. Noel Hoffenmeyer wins the Max Comiskey Trophy for Most Outstanding Defenseman. Hoffenmeyer, of course, the 67s. There would be some other teams represented in the awards. The Jim Mahonwood Trophy would go to Arthur Kaliev of the Hamilton Bulldogs. Nick Robertson of the Peterborough Petes was the rookie, or he won the William Hanley Trophy The M's Family Award for Rookie of the Year, Shane Wright of the Kingston Frontenacs. The WF Dinty Moore Trophy, that went to Brett Brochu of the London Knights. The Bobby Smith, would go to Cole Perfetti of the Saginaw Spirit. The Jim Rutherford Award for Goaltender of the Year, Nico Dawes of the Guelph Storm. The Dan Snyder goes to Jacob Ingham of the Kitchener Rangers. And the Ivan Tennant Memorial Award, Logan Lesage of the Owen Sound Attack. The Mickey Renaud Captain's Trophy, I always like seeing who gets this one. That went to Ty Delandria of the Flint Firebirds. And the Jack Ferguson Award for the first overall pick would actually go to Ty Nelson of the North Bay Battalion this season. So they would still do a draft, but of course it would all be digital and over Zoom and whatnot. So things were different when we ended this season abruptly, but still, it's a season of what ifs, especially when you look at what the Sudbury Wolves had. You had Quinton Byfield, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in net. This team looked like they were ready for a deep playoff run. Obviously, if it would have been Ottawa-Sudbury in the Eastern Conference Final, it would have been a great matchup. But still, you got to feel for the teams that even went all in at the OHL trade deadline. Like I mentioned, Oshawa picking up Tomasino. But still, it's a time that a lot of teams have had to rally around and change things up and how things were done. But we would get back on the ice, but it would take some time after the 2019-2020 season. So that's the summary. I know it's a historic one, and it's still a soft spot for many. But let me know in the comments down below. What were your thoughts during the 2019-20 season? There was still a lot going on, even outside of the canceled season. So let me know in the comments section down below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we will talk to you again soon.